All right, welcome back to There Is No America Without Eric, and we all need a little Eric in our life. So today we need to talk about something that gun owners have been hearing about for years, every election cycle, every time Republicans take Congress, every time there's a new pro-2A push in Washington. Nationwide carry reciprocity, except this time they're taking it a step further because Senator Mike Lee introduced what's called the National Constitutional Carry Act. In the Senate, the bill is S 4013, and unlike some of the older reciprocity bills, this one is aimed at recognizing the right to carry nationwide without requiring Americans to get a government permission slip first. And honestly, this is one of those topics that perfectly show how insane gun laws in America have become. Because let me explain something that has never made sense to normal people. If my Wisconsin driver's license is valid in Illinois, why the hell is my Wisconsin concealed carry permit suddenly worthless the second I cross an invisible line in the road? Seriously, the Constitution doesn't stop existing because you cross state lines. Your First Amendment rights don't disappear when you drive into Illinois. Your Fourth Amendment rights don't disappear. Your Fifth Amendment rights don't disappear, but somehow the Second Amendment has been treated like it's optional depending on which governor is currently having an emotional breakdown over AR-15s. And that is the core argument behind this bill. Now, before we get deeper into it, today's video is sponsored by OnlyTacticalFans.myshopify.com. You guys already know the drill. We've got medical gear, CAT, Gen 7 tourniquets, snake staff system tourniquets for EDC, glow sticks, survival gear, sling, MREs, and all kinds of stuff over there. And honestly, with the way some of these states are acting lately, having emergency gear on hand is probably a smart investment than ever. The snake staff tourniquets are still one of my favorites because they're small enough to actually carry them, and the best medical gear in the world doesn't matter if you leave it sitting at home. So if you want to support the channel and grab some gear at the same time, go check out OnlyTacticalFans.myshopify.com. All right, now let's get back into it. According to Senator Mike Lee's office, the bill was introduced specifically to protect the right to carry legally purchased firearms without a permit nationwide. And this is where things start getting interesting legally, because there are actually two different national carry concepts floating around right now. One is reciprocity. The other is constitutional carry nationwide. Those are not exactly the same thing. The reciprocity bill is like HR 38 and S65 basically says if your home state recognizes your carry rights, other states have to recognize them too. So if Wisconsin issues you a concealed carry permit, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, California, they'd have to honor it. That's the driver license analogy everybody always uses. And honestly, most normal Americans think that already should be the law, because we already recognize marriages across the state lines, driver's license, professional certifications in many cases, court orders, all kinds of interstate recognition systems already exist. But with guns, states like Illinois act like your permit instantly turns into radioactive material the second you cross the border. There's some sensitive fucking people out there, I swear to gosh. Now, the newer constitutional carry push goes even further. Instead of saying we'll recognize permits, it says you shouldn't need a permit to exercise a constitutional right in the first place. That's a massive shift. And honestly, politically, that's why these bills always seem like they're this close and then somehow never actually happen. Because every single time Republicans get momentum or reciprocity, anti-gun states absolutely lose their minds. New York says it violates states' rights. California says it undermines their public safety framework. Illinois politicians start acting like Wisconsin residents crossing the border are basically Mad Max raiders, and the irony is unbelievable. These same politicians spent years screaming that Roe v. Wade should be left to the states. But suddenly when it comes to gun rights, now states apparently shouldn't have limits on what they can infringe. Funny how that works. And here's the other major problem. Congress has tried this before over and over and over again. And the biggest example was the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act in 2017. That bill actually passed the House. People forget that. It passed in like 231 to 198 during Trump's first term. Gun owners thought, this is it, we finally got it. And then it stalled out in Senate. Dead, gone, just out of reach again. And that's been the story for years. Bills get introduced, huge headlines, everybody gets excited, then the Senate becomes the graveyard where everything disappears. And part of the issue is that national reciprocity creates a really ugly constitutional fight, because anti-gun states claim we have the right to regulate carry inside our borders, while gun rights advocates argue no, states get to nullify a constitutional right. And after the Bruen decision, that argument became way more important, because the Supreme Court in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. v. Bruen, basically confirmed that carrying firearms in public is part of the Second Amendment protected conduct. That ruling absolutely nuked New York's old proper cause carry system, but it also exposed something else. Anti-gun states were never going to stop voluntarily. They immediately started trying to create new restrictions, sensitive places, massive exclusion zones, ridiculous permit requirements, training mandates, insurance proposals, social media reviews, character references, basically death by bureaucracy. And that's why this national constitutional carry push matters politically, because a lot of the gun owners are tired of the endless patchwork nonsense. Think about how insane this is for a normal person traveling. You can drive legally armed in one state, become a felon crossing the border, then become legal again 2 states later. That is completely ridiculous, especially when many of these states already recognize permitless carry internally. Right now, over half the country has some form of constitutional carry. So Americans are looking around asking, if constitutional carry works in these states, why are anti-gun states still pretending permit holders are dangerous criminals? And another thing people are noticing, the federal government already regulates interstate firearm transportation in a bunch of ways. FOPA exists, or FOPA exists, federal firearm laws exist, the ATF exists, unfortunately, NICS exists. So the idea that Congress somehow has zero authority to protect interstate carry rights, that argument is getting weaker and weaker politically. Now, do I think this bill passes? Honestly, I think it has a better chance today than it did 10 years ago, maybe. But I still think the Senate is the biggest obstacle, because national reciprocity has always been one of those issues where Republicans campaign on it heavily. But once it's time to actually force the vote, things suddenly get complicated. Moderators get nervous, blue state Republicans start wobbling, lobbying pressure explodes, media panic starts, Evertown and Brady start running wall-to-wall fear campaigns, and then suddenly everybody starts talking about compromise again. And gun owners have seen this movie before. That's why a lot of people are cautiously optimistic instead of celebrating, because until something actually clears both chambers and hits the president's desk, it's just another bill. Now, legally, this would almost certainly end up in federal court immediately. California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Maryland, DC. They'd all sue before the ink dried. And honestly, that may be part of the long-term strategy here, because if Congress passes national carry protections and anti-gun states challenge it, eventually the Supreme Court may finally be forced to answer a massive question. Can states effectively nullify the Second Amendment for travelers and non-residents? And that could become one of the biggest two-way rulings in modern history, because at the end of the day, either the Second Amendment is a constitutional right or it's a state-issued privilege card. And Americans are getting really tired of being told their rights only count in certain zip codes. Anyways, guys, before we wrap this up, one last shout out to onlytacticalfans.myshopify.com. We've got tourniquets, survival gear, slings, patches, medical supplies, and all the other stuff over there. And yes, we are still not doing feet pictures. Probably. Also, don't forget to check out our link down below of Amazon. And even when you click on that link and you don't buy what's in our store just because you clicked off that link from our channel and you're going to do the Amazon shopping you're going to do, we get a kickback for that. So I greatly appreciate that. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think national carry actually has a chance this time, or is this going to end up like every other reciprocity bill where it gets so close and then somehow dies at the finish line again? All right, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.